Thanks for joining me on News Desk. My name is Kemini Nyamani. And on the program today, we'll deal with this landmark case ruling. 14 years of his life was taken away, and he was awarded damages of 200,000 Ghana cedis. We'll talk to the man in the center of all this, Francis Ajari, in the course of the program. Also, we'll look at an accident that occurred somewhere in Joynews, very terrible accident at that. Then we'll wrap it down with the building collapse, a quick update on the building collapse at Boy Town. I'm sure you haven't forgotten that. You can share your thoughts with me on our social media platforms, Joynews on TV, on Facebook and on Twitter. I tweet at Kemini. I'll be so glad to share your thoughts with the rest of us here in this community. In the meantime, let's get into the first issue of the day. A human rights court is awarded 200,000 Ghana cedis to a man unlawfully remanded for 14 years without trial for his alleged involvement in armed robbery. The landmark ruling is believed could send a signal to thousands of others currently in detention for extended periods without trial. Here's Joynews' Anil Sabuti's report.
He lost his freedom, lost his business, and lost his wife. His only son also ended up a school dropout, forced to become a trotro mate here in Accra.
Long time.
That's the story of 46-year-old Francis Ajari, who was unlawfully detained for 14 years at Insawam prison for his alleged involvement in a robbery incident. Francis Ajari was released unconditionally in 2008 under the Justice for All program, and afterwards started proceedings to be compensated by the state. The court granted him 200,000 Ghana cedis. His lawyer, Francis Xavier Susu, told Joynews, although the awarded compensation was disappointing, he was happy for the victory.
But today gives me hope that Ghana is not just a jungle of people, but Ghana is a land of laws, that when people's life or people's liberty are unjustifiably taken away, there is some hope for them. And I believe that this should send a big warning to the whole, state, particularly state actors, to know that whatever they are doing is being watched. You cannot just arrest somebody and put him in detention for over 14 years without trial. A person who is barely 46 years is looking like 90 just because he has been put in this remand cells.
Though the judge said no amount of money can compensate for the number of years Francis Ajari spent in prison, there are those who believe the 200,000 Ghana cedis compensation is woefully inadequate.
200,000 Ghana cedis, it is God who showed me how to invest with it. I'll now start my life with fresh, and I believe God will show me what to do. God will show me what.
Francis also says he has forgiven his accusers and detainers. Anil Sabute filed this report for Joynews.
That is the story of Francis Ajari. I have the 44-year-old Francis Ajari with me here in the studio, and we'll try and know Francis over the next few minutes. Thank you very much, Francis, for joining us here on News Desk. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm well.
We thank God you're well. What was Francis 14 years ago?
Francis, 14 years ago, I was a motor mechanic living at Jamestown. So one day I was going to buy fish at the beachside, lighthouse.
We'll get into what happened before your arrest.
Okay.
What happened that led to the arrest?
Yeah.
But let's get to know you. You were a motor mechanic, and then
yeah, I was a motor mechanic.
Okay.
And I was born and raised in Tamale. Some years ago.
Were you married?
Yeah, I was married.
With how many children?
One.
I see. And so you had a family that you were feeding.
Yes.
Off from your motor mechanic. How was life
during that time?
Yes.
Our life was okay for me because I was now picking up a young guy coming up. I was now picking up, so my business was okay for me by that time.
I see.
Yeah.
But then something happened that led to your arrest.
Yeah, something happened. What happened was that an armed robber came to our area to kill his wife. And I think he was with the wife at Nima. So I think there was a breakout. So the wife came to our area. So the wife came to engage with another new boyfriend. So when the husband came and saw the wife with another boyfriend, he threatened to kill them. So the wife informed us that the husband is an armed robber and he's wanted at police headquarters. So we should help and then arrest him. So on 25th December 1993, he came there to kill the wife and the boyfriend. So they arrested him, and he was trying to pull a gun from his pocket and shot the people. So he was peppered. His eyes were peppered with pepper. So they took him to police headquarters.
Okay.
So a week later, he influenced the police. He told them that his colleagues are there. So I closed my shop. I was going to buy fish. So on my arrival, I met the police people. So they arrested people, 57 of us. They took us to police headquarters. We were not in the cell because the cell was full up, so we were at the counter. So a friend of mine who was sitting by me told me, do you know why we are here? I said, no.
So you were arrested where?
Jamestown Beach.
What were you doing there?
I was going to buy fish.
I see.
Yes, sir.
I see. So then you were arrested?
Yes.
And then?
So when I was arrested, they took me to police headquarters. So after the police headquarters, the man said I was the one who repaired his eye with pepper. So I'm one of his colleagues. So he implicated me. But the police, for them to make proper investigation, they did not do that. They start torturing me, move my fingers, you can see here. They move this, then they move this. So, in fact, they touched me to a way I can't say anything. So they took me to court the next day, including me and the man, and about six some of his colleagues. So when we went to court, they remanded me for 1 week. They started to go and come. So 1 week, I went there. They not take me to court again. This man has been coming to court. And when he's going to court, I will go to the session and say, oh, this man implicated me. I want to go to court with him. They said, I'm not among his case, so I should go back to the yard. So I was in the yard for about 80 years. One day, we went to church, and he confessed to the authorities that he has committed offense against me.
Right.
And now he has seen God. So he want to say the truth. So he told them that, in fact, when he was arrested, he think I was the one who peppered in his eye. But now he got to know that I was not among the people who arrested him. So he want to confess that I'm innocent. What he did, I don't know anything about. So when he confessed, the OIC also came in. The Roman priest who was there, Father Paul, also came in. So they took me to the OIC office. The OIC asked him, so you know this for 80 years. Why don't you say for a long time? He said, now he has known God. That's why he's able to say that. So I was there, thinking that I'll come out. So the OIC has been transferred. So another OIC came. So they called human rights. So when human rights came, they invited him. He said the same thing, and then they told me to file motion. So when I filed motion, they took me to court and they released me.
I see. Now let me just remind our viewers, we'll be joined by lawyer Francis Xavier Kojososu. He was counsel for Francis Ejari throughout his proceedings in court, which won him the 200,000 cedi damage. But in the meantime, you were tortured, you say?
I was tortured, seriously.
Explain torture.
Torture means...
what did they do to you that you're calling torture now?
Well, they beat me roughly, they beat me, they want me to accept of knowing that man. I said, I don't know him nowhere. Because the man said I'm one of his colleagues, but I don't know him nowhere. So they beat me mercilessly. And instead of them to call the man, his accomplices are there. They're supposed to call him, they're supposed to call them and then investigate from there. That if they know me. But they not do that.
How often were you beaten?
Well, beaten roughly. I don't know how to say it. It was brutal. You can see my fingers. See this and see this. See the way they move this away. So in fact.
Was that time you were tortured so bad?
Yeah.
You actually admitted?
No. I was not. I was tortured so badly. In fact, it was so badly to me that I don't know what to say. So. Yeah, so that was that. So I'm advising the police. The way they used to treat suspects is very bad. Yeah, very bad.
Lawyer Francis Kojo-Xavier, Kojo join us in the conversation. Thank you very much for joining us on News, and thank you for a good work done, I could say so.
Yeah, thank
you. How
you.
long did the case take?
It took about 2 years. I think 2 years and a couple of months.
Throughout that, what was happening?
Well, our legal procedures, there are all kinds of levels and steps that you need to take. First of all, when we're about starting this matter, we were already out of time. So the first thing we needed to do after we came across Francis's story was to apply to the Human Rights Court for an order for extension of time within which to apply for the enforcement of his fundamental human rights. So the court looked at our affidavit in support and was of the view that we had a case, and it was legitimate that at the time he was released, he didn't know that he could actually access the rights that were available to him from the Human Rights Court. So the court granted us extension. So then we went ahead and filed the application. It was a motion supported by an affidavit, which was served on the Attorney General and the IGP. And the state actually entered appearance to the action, and then had to file an affidavit in opposition. And this took quite some time, because usually when it happens like that, the state attorneys would also have to write to the Ghana Police Service, write to prison, so they can ascertain the veracity or otherwise of our claim. So it took over 6 months before they were able to file an affidavit of opposition. It was after we had insisted that if they wouldn't file it, we would have no choice than to move our application. And when they filed that application, affidavit in opposition, they had deposed that Francis was lawfully arrested and lawfully detained. So under the rules of court, we can serve them with notice to produce. So they can produce the court with the document that shows that Francis was lawfully detained. We requested for the warrant of arrest and the warrant of detention. We requested for certified true copies of the proceedings. They said there was a trial. We said, well, so provide us with a copy of the trial from the circuit court. They were unable to provide any of them. And
not a warrant for arrest.
No. So, and under the rules of court, once you're unable to provide these things, then it means that the entire defense that you are putting forward is a sham. So the court yesterday actually struck out that defense. But what was most important and significant from yesterday's judgment actually was the fact that the judge held that his arrest was lawful. The arrest was lawful because the circumstances of the arrest, there was no need for him to be told why he was being arrested, because this is a criminal pointing him out. But after that arrest, the subsequent actions were the flagrant breach of his fundamental human rights, because then the detention was unlawful, because after you've arrested somebody and he's remanded, the purpose of remand is for you to investigate, so you can put the person through trial. But after remand, if you leave the person there for over 14 years, then you have breached his fundamental rights.
Was he still in prison at the time you were going through the case?
No. At the time we were going through the case, he had been released, like he narrated in 2008, when they had made an application by the help of the human rights officers in the court to the High Court, Justice Clotty, actually Quatty, held that for staying in prison for over 14 years was an unpardonable breach of his fundamental rights. And we should know that the prison calendar is not our normal calendar. So if by our normal calendar he was there for about 14 years and 6 months, he probably has been, if he were sentenced, he would have probably been serving over 20 years, prison terms already, and the judge was of the view that his long stay in prison was an unpardonable breach of his fundamental rights, and therefore unconditionally released him. It was after his release that his condition became more miserable, because if you have been in prison for 14 years and you are released, where do you go to?
Let's have him share that with us.
Exactly.
So after the judge released you, not during the awarding of the 200,000, but after you were unconditionally, borrowing his words, released as a free man, what was life like for you?
Life was not terrible. It was not terrible to me because, in fact, if I remember my days, what I've lost and what I don't know, I've become...
Where were you sleeping?
Yeah, where I sleep, the landlord have taken his place. He rented the room to somebody else. So,
when you came, the judge said you were a free man to go. That night, where did you sleep?
I went back to the house where I was living, and then they gave me a place to stay for a while. Before I started fighting my case, going around fighting for my case.
Do you still live in the same house?
Oh, no, I'm still living there, but it's not in proper place. But I believe God will show me, God will make my life fine.
How were you able to feed? How were you able to move yourself about? From your house to the court and perhaps to see Lawyer Xavier?
No, it's a prayer. It's God who choose Lawyer Francis to help me. Yeah, it is God who is the directions of God. I remember Sarah, Metro TV. She helped me a lot. May God bless her, whatever she are. And Sister Mary also, Metro TV, they also did bless my life.
I want us to see your life.
Yes, sir.
After the judge had declared you free,
yeah.
What was your life? What were you eating? Where were you getting the money from? When you slept, what dreams did you have?
Oh, okay. All is as I'm saying is prayers. Although I found life difficult, but it's still prayers. Were
you working? Did you find yourself some menial job to do?
No, I was not working because of my eye problem.
You have an eye problem?
Yes.
Did you have it before going to?
No.
I see. What happened? What caused that?
Well, I don't know. When I came out, when I was there, I don't have research. But when I came out later, I went to hospital. They said it's something called glaucoma.
I see.
Yeah, glaucoma. So I'm on treatment, and I believe by the grace of God,
you'll be fine.
They said they will make it surgery. I have to make surgery. So I think by next month I will do that.
I see. I can understand how terrible it is. You may not want to recount those days after you were released, but you found Lawyer Francis or he found you? Which other way? Did you find him or he found you?
Lawyer Francis found me through when there was a program concerning suicide, because I was about to commit suicide by then. So I went to a program called Suicide.
You contemplated suicide?
Yeah, because the life was so difficult for me that I can't live. So I decided to commit suicide. Because wherever you go, they rejected you. Because nobody wants to see as like somebody who from prison. So I was about to commit suicide. So one day, I heard an announcement from a Metro TV concerning suicide program in British High Commission. So I went there. So when I went there, it was there I met Sarah. She picked me up.
Tell me something. You contemplated suicide, but you had a program, and you decided to go.
To go there.
Why?
They were talking about suicide problem. They were saying that anyone who has a suicide problem to come there. And I was having suicide problems, so I went there.
You were still hopeful of life?
Yes, sir. So when I went there, it was there my life was saved. It was there God chose Lawyer Francis to come to my aid. And it was there I met Sister Sarah. And through Sister Sarah, and through them, I had Lawyer Francis also to come to my aid. Lawyer Francis did not take money from me. He feeds me every day. When we go to court, he gives me money. Anytime I go to court, anytime I go, my medical problem, he gave me money to go to hospital. Until we find this case, this time, ended.
Why did you decide to take on his case?
Well, that is a very hard one, but a very simple one too. For me, it's a passion. You know, I remember those days when we were in law school, when everyone was asked, why do you want to do law? And most of us would scream, you know, social injustice. We want to make sure that justice is done in our society. And I decided to go for Francis's case because I believe that at the time he needed help. He needed help. When I saw the story first broke on Metro TV and appeal was made, if anybody wanted to really support, I remember that day I was watching news with my wife and I said, this is a case we need to help. So immediately the event was over, I looked for the editor's number and then called and said, look, I just saw Francis Ejari's story. If there's any way we can help, just let me know and I'll be willing to do that. And I was called subsequently and meeting was arranged between us.
And then the rest is history. The history you and Francis have made.
Exactly.
I see. Francis, so at the time you were contemplating suicide.
Yeah.
Your wife and kid, I understand you have a son.
I have a son.
Did anything come into the picture?
No, they came to court yesterday.
No, when you were contemplating that you wanted to take your own life.
No, if you want to take your life, it's not easy to tell somebody. If you want to go take your life, so I become isolated. Anytime I go to a cemetery, this is where I used to go and relax myself, watching where I can easily do that. But I was praying to God, telling God, if it's your will for me to do that, and then I'm okay. But if it's not your will, change my life.
And he did hear your prayer.
I did my prayer.
14 years.
6
you
months.
were 6 months.
Yes, sir.
That's almost 15 years.
Yeah.
You were wrongfully imprisoned.
Yeah.
Tell us about life in prison.
Oh, prison is a very serious place. It's a very I can say that place is a hell. True, it's a hell because it's not a place of living. No, even an animal can live there. Animal can live there. What about human beings? Our feeding is very poor. Medical problems are very poor. Water problems is very poor. Everything there is very poor. Accommodation is very poor.
So take us through a typical day in prison.
Yeah.
You woke up in the morning and then?
One day when they took me there first, they isolated us. They put me in different place called lockup.
Lockup?
Yeah, lockup.
Okay.
Prison within prison.
I see.
So we were there. According to them, every new arrival, this is where they have to keep you. And the way my situation was, they kept me there for 3 years. It was there I climbed up to commission side. I jumped from up. I climbed up to commission side, but God did not take my life that then. As I'm saying now, they are there. They know what I'm saying about.
What does the lockup look like?
Well, it's just a small room. It's supposed to contain 2 people. By the time they will keep us at maybe 5. You can't sleep. You sit down until the next day. Before they open you, they'll give you water or they give you food. After that, they lock you up. I was there for 3 years.
No movement?
No movement.
You never came out?
No.
3 straight years?
3 straight years. So it was there. One day when I climbed the storage building. There's a building before us. They opened us to come and bath. So after the bath, I climbed the building and I jumped up, but I did not die. Well, I wound. They took me to hospital. I was to hospital about 3 months before because I don't know what I've done. So in fact, I was very disturbed. So it was there the OIC realized that if they kept us, they would kill ourselves. So they decided to bring us into the yard. So it was there they created a block, column block 179. It was there they took us as a remand prisoners. So we were there.
How many of you were there?
We were 5 by then. And then coming, we become 9. Coming, become 10.
Okay.
And coming, we become 200.
I see.
Coming, we take the whole block. We become 500.
I see.
Yeah.
What's a typical day in the block? What's the name of the block again?
Block 1,
Block 1.
Yeah.
What's a typical day like in the block? You woke up in the morning, now you were out of the lockout.
Formerly, they used to open us. When it's 6 o'clock, they open us. So we and the convicts would be in the yard. You can go to condemn and visit whatever you want, whoever you want to go and visit. It's complete town. It's a town. You see people selling fufu, banku, everything. If you have money, you can go and buy. If you don't have money, you go and save somebody, fetch him water, he can give you something. So one day they open us, I thought we'll go around to the yard. Maybe you go to a church, you go and sit down there. There's a library, you can go and read. After that, you go to the pipe. But going to the pipe to get water, you can take about 2 hours before you get the water.
Were you fed? Were you fed? Were you given food to eat?
Oh yeah, we were fed. We were fed. But the food is very bad. You know, we have some food called zontoli. It's a banku, but it's not well cooked. You have some soup called manpower. It's very bad. You know, when you take that food, you have to recook it again. So this was what was happening there.
I see.
Yeah.
How about relationship amongst yourselves?
A relationship among yourself, everybody's annoying because the feeling is very poor. So if you touch somebody, the person will get annoyed. You know, it's like I don't know how to say.
And all that time, you knew that you had done nothing wrong, but you were there.
I'm there. Yeah. So
the first time you were thrown into the building, what did you think about?
I decided that's my end. That's my end. So I decided that's my end. So I say, God, if this is my end, and then I have no choice. The choice is for you. You brought me into this world, so whatever happened to my life, I give thanks to you. So that is my thinking.
Were you visited in prison? Did you have visitors?
Yeah, I was visited by my son and my son's. Okay, my son came there. My son and the mother came there twice. The third time, my wife came and told me she's fed up in the area, she can't stay there no more. So I advised her, I give her advice that she can marry somebody else. I don't know when I'm coming. I don't know where I'll come out. And if I leave her to stay, to wait me, I don't know when I'll come. So if she's able, she can find somebody to marry. So when she went back, she married somebody. And now, I was there when I learned that they have 2 children. So I'm happy about that.
You're happy?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That she moved on?
Oh yeah, because I don't know.
But when she came there and told you she wanted to move on,
yeah.
How did you feel? She was your wife. You had a son with her.
Yeah.
You lived together, husband and wife.
Yes,
you mustn't have been happy when she.
Oh yeah, I was not happy. I was very embarrassed. I was very I become this. That day I did not eat for the whole day. But later, about 3 days later, I said, God, that is that.
Did you feel something had been stolen from you?
Yeah, I feel sad. I feel
you must have been angry.
Yeah, but no, it's the work of God. In everything, you know, God first. Whatever happened to my life, I know it's God. So I said, God, that is that. Anything that comes, God, control it. So
I see. So, Xavier, how difficult was it working this case?
I think the only major challenge had to do with finances, you know, because most of what we do are public interest and human rights related. So you often will not have enough funds, you know. Like he said, even though he paints a picture that every day I do that, is sometimes we are unable to, you know. Sometimes he may come with a request for either medical bill or something. We may go to Kolebu, try, we may not be able to raise the money, you know, because we had to file the case ourselves. And remember, we're looking for 2 million Ghana cedis, so it means that you have to pay a lot to do the filing, even though eventually we're not giving that much. And all the processes, you know, all through need to be, every day is expense. Going to court is an expense, and we had to bear that expense. And for us, that was the most difficult part. And I think initially we thought there was a little bit of difficulty and delays from Attorney General, but eventually, when it was very clear that they couldn't get any information, you know, to justify what, you know, the unlawful detention, the matter moved on swiftly, and today we have the judgment. So it was challenging only financially. Beyond that, everything else was quite okay.
We'll come back to Francis Ejari and talk more about his life after he came up and how he's going to deal with putting that life back on. We'll talk about it when I return. Take a listen to lawyer Maurice Ampao on the same matter.
The court presided over by Justice Kofi Mensah awarded the damages against the state after determining that the fundamental rights of Ejari, a 46-year-old motor mechanic, were violated without recourse to the law. We're being told that Francis was arrested together with 57 others on criminal charges in 1994 at Jamestown, and I believe there were a number of swoops within the period. And the swoop was, of course, conducted by the army and the police. He was put behind bars for more than 48 hours and subsequently arraigned before the Accra Circuit Court on charges of robbery and conspiracy. Following that, I think 1 or 2 adjournments, he was forgotten.
Who do you blame? The state is going to this is a judgment debt. This seriously is part of the judgment debt.
Not committed by a political figure, right? A public officer, just a public.
Our institutions did not work. So this is part of the.
You are a lawyer.
Yes.
We always hear from you, I mean you the lawyers, that we have quite a number of them, hundreds if not thousands of people in the country's penal system like this.
Definitely. You see, who do you blame? You blame the judge who sat on this case.
The initial
one, because once an accused person has been brought before you, he's under your custody. You remanded the accused person. So you must track where the accused person is. So once you remanded the accused person, on the court day, if the accused person is not brought, you should ask where is the accused person. You see the thing? But you have a judge who also forgot about the accused person. And then they have the investigator of the case and the prosecution also forgetting the accused person. What actually happened in this case is that once they were brought, and also blame the AG department. Maybe the docket was sent for advice and they refused to act. The man is not important. He's not influential. You know, he's an ordinary person.
So there's a problem wrong with the system.
The system.
Okay.
The
So now let's start. Usually, in a case like this, what would have happened? A swoop, and we know that swoops were conducted those times, and even in the early part or up to the middle part of the 2000s, swoops were conducted a lot, just to make sure that criminal gangs and their activities were kept. And I've reported a number of them over the years. So these aspects are arraigned before the court.
Yes.
And then what happens?
What you have done is that before we are arraigned before the court, when it's a remand, you tell the judge that look, investigations are going to go. So you do screening, allow the public to come and identify whether some of them are killed. Then you get that evidence. Once you are not getting the evidence, leave them, let them go. So it's a question of them swooping. We did not do anything, no screening, no evidence was gathered against them. We just dumped them for 14 good years. This man could have made more than 200 Ghana cedis.
200,000.
1,000 Ghana cedis. And then
he could have been a big billionaire
somewhere. See, so
even though at the time he was an auto mechanic. So
we should not pay these 200 Ghana cedis and let investigations go into the matter. Let's find out those who caused the judgment debt. Let's find out who was the investigator in the matter, who was the prosecution in the matter, who was the judge in the matter, the AG department who was responsible for the docket, and let them bring them to book. If not, these things will continue, because we need to save the nation's money. These 200,000 Ghana cedis could have built a school, or could have been used to do something better for the nation.
I've lived in communities. For example, I grew up in Ashaiman, where police come to conduct swoops. If you go to Nima, Mamobi, you know, they identify certain areas, ghetto areas, and they claim that, well, because there are a number of incidents there, it's perceived to be hideout for criminals, etc. They come to conduct these swoops. And sometimes you have your friends who have been detained and they're forgotten. What should the justice system do once these cases are before the courts, but these cases have not been called? What should the justice system do?
Quickly, the judge should be held responsible. You see, the judge, the person suspect is brought before you. So it's under your jurisdiction, under your power. You remanded the suspect. So
but it's supposed to be a public prosecutor, right?
But you, the judge, is the one who remanded. So on the court date, you should make sure that the accused person is brought before court. And then the CID should also go and bring that and the prosecution. But we have a situation whereby the AD department, the prosecution, and the investigating department, including the judges, at times negligently forget these people who have been remanded, and then their docket is thrown somewhere, and they are there. And the prison officers also should be held responsible. Because if you have prison officers who are keeping somebody for 14 years, why shouldn't they also complain that, look, we have so many remand prisoners and this particular person for almost 14 years? It's a breach of the constitutional rights.
Right, so that was recorded from the AM show earlier today. But I still have here with me Francis Ejari. Francis Ejari is the man in the center of the 200,000 Ghana cedis damage awarded to him for a wrongful imprisonment for over 14 years. I also have with me in the studio his lawyer, Francis Xavier Kojo Sosu. So let me start with you, Xavier. Lawyer Morris mentioned some valid points about who the investigator was, who the judge was, who was handling the docket at the AG's department, and we need to find those people and make sure they face sanctions. Is that something you're looking into?
Yes, I think that is a call in the right direction. I have even gone ahead to even make a call for a commission of inquiry into unlawful detentions, because Francis's case is just one of the many cases that we have. Indeed, if we want to improve our human rights profile and we really want to be seen by the international community as actually living by the standards, human rights standards of the world, it is important that we will take this case very seriously and take some very important steps based on this case. For example, setting up the commission, as we are talking about, and getting people, you know, to report. You know, Maurice also said that some judges, you know, inadvertently sometimes just forget these people, and I think that is very correct also, because sometime last year, one of the judges in, I think for the purpose of this show, I wouldn't mind mentioning his name, Justice Francis Obri of Circuit Court 1, actually drew our attention, I mean my firm's attention, to the fact that he had struck out some number of matters for want of prosecution. And he would wish that somebody will follow up to find out whether those people are still in custody or they've been released. Because on the days that they were struck out for want of prosecution, no prosecutor, no investigator, no complainant. So if nobody follows up, it means that those people will continue to be there. And indeed, when we followed up, we had close to about 32 prisoners, some whose case had been struck out for more than 3 months, 6 months, even a year, who are still in his own prisons. And when we followed up, we realized that eventually some of them were released through the Justice for All program, and those that were not released, we followed up until others were released. Others too, we heard, had other charges, so the other charges have been preferred against them. So it means that
why does it seem as though the nation is taking interest in imprisoning people instead of correcting people?
Honestly, it baffles me. I mean, I get so scared about this trend. The reason is that I always say that for every free person out there, you're a potential accused person. So if the police can just walk in there and arrest you, and you know, based on some accusation, usually when it is even what the offenses we call unbailable offenses, and because you can't be bailed, then you are thrown to jail and nobody follows up. That is the end. And that is why it is a very important call that these matters are well investigated, some practical and proactive steps are taken by the Judicial Service, by Attorney General, and indeed by, you know, other state actors, SHRAJ, you know, so that we can together come up with a more progressive way of sanitizing our criminal system.
We'll come back to those proactive steps, but let's come back to, let's talk now about the life of you, Ajari.
Yes, sir.
So 2 years you were going to court, back and forth, back and forth. Was that time you wanted to give up on the case?
No way. No way. I'll never give up.
Why didn't you feel like, because we have a system where you hear people say, oh, you chased that case in court and then nothing would happen.
People were discouraging me not to go to the court even. But I tell them that I'm in the hands of God. It's my life, because simply because I know what they have done to me, and I know I haven't done nothing. It's somebody who have committed when he came, because he feel guilty, so he will say, oh, I've done it, so I'll forgive. But I did not do anything.
Right.
So I'll follow it until my end.
You seem to talk about God and your belief and trust in Him a lot.
Because he did a lot for me.
I see. At what point in your life did you give your life to Christ?
I give my life to Christ. In fact, I give my life to Christ when I was outside. I wasn't close to God too much. But when I was arrested, it was there I get close to God, because I realized that nobody can help me apart from God, and it's through God that I'm out, and it's God who showed Francis to come to my aid. You understand? And it is God, because I believe in God simply because I prayed one time, and that prayer has been answered. Because I prayed to God, I said, God, if it's your will, let him come out. But if it is your will, let him also stay in. And God has done that. I came out.
How old is your son now?
20.
It means when you were leaving, your son was about 6 years old. Did he recognize you when he saw you?
No, when I came, he did not recognize me, but through...
So how did you reconcile with your boy? Your 20-year-old son who had not seen you for 14 years, 6 months. How did you reconcile with him? How did you tell him, you know, what's his name again?
Yeah, Befi.
What did you tell Jeffrey? Is that it?
Yeah, Befi.
Befi.
Yeah.
How did you tell Befi, I am your father?
No, yeah, you know, somebody, he knows, because when he grew up, people told him that I'm in prison, the father is in prison, and he came there want to visit me. So when I came out, he found it difficult to recognize me, but I introduced myself to them.
How did you feel doing that?
I feel doing that because I know it's my son, and I have to present myself to them, and I tell them, this is me.
Where did you find your son in the first place?
Okay, I went to my brother-in-law's house at Choko.
Okay.
And he directed me to, he showed me where my son was.
So you went to your son and you spoke with your son.
Yes, yeah.
How did you feel about that moment? Were you sad? Were you angry?
No, I feel shame. I feel down. I feel that no, my life has been washed away. So now I don't know what to do. So even that made me to to plan for suicide. You know, because when I came, I saw that my life is out. People that are left outside, I come and met, some of them died. Some of them also become mad. Some of them also become riches. And if I see my son's supposed to be a graduate by this time. But the way I've been caught, I know his life is not like the way I like it.
I see. Yeah. What was your son's reaction?
Oh, he's behaving well, simply because he also keep it as if he also know that the father has been arrested, so he also trying to do something better for himself.
When you told him he is your son and you're the father he came to visit in prison with his mother 14 years, 6 months ago.
He was so sad. He was so sad. He was not happy. But I encourage him to be happy. And I said, God will intervene in our life. Once I've not died and I came out, God will do something for us.
I see. Xavier, in a situation like this, would you, I mean, you've seen them, you know them. What do you think the father-son relationship is?
Honestly, for what I know, as a result of the case, you would realize that that relationship has badly been affected. You know, it's badly been affected. The kind of affection that would naturally flow from a father to a son was not particularly there. You know, obviously because the child also felt abandoned and not cared for, and you know, and I remember that when we had to do conferences, you know, before preparing our case to go to court, it wasn't particularly easy for all of them, everyone, to even open up, because you know, at that moment there were many things people were holding, you know, onto, you know, in their heart. So from my perspective, that relationship was badly hit, and I think it was because of that length of, you know, detachment, you know, from the son.
And the saddest bit is of no fault of theirs.
That is the saddest.
Because the system decided to fail them.
You know, that is it, and yeah, and that's what the system made. You know, so, and that is why yesterday, if you were in court, the judge made some very significant statements. He says that, look, keeping people like Francis Ejari in prison is like a subtle overthrow of our constitution. It's like it's turning our constitution upside down, and we cannot be in a country like that. You know, how can a country have laws and have institutions that would rather impoverish, malign, and take away, you know, the freedom and liberties of its own citizens? How can the same constitution that guarantees these freedoms take away that freedom through the institutions that it has established? So it's a very, very unfortunate, you know, spectacle.
We'll talk soon about when we are getting the money for Francis and how we are doing that. But Francis, You have a 20-year-old son,
Yeah.
and you still have, I mean, you are a strong man.
Yeah.
You're strong-hearted,
Yeah.
and I believe there is a lot more ahead of you.
Thank you.
What does the future look like for you?
The future, I've seen the future. The future is in the hands of God, but I know I don't know how to describe the future.
Would you have more children?
It will come from God.
Do you feel like you want to have a family?
I don't have
That's
that.
something you have missed for
No,
over 14 years.
I don't have that. Now, as I'm sitting down, to matter of fact with you, I don't have love. I don't have love. There's no love in me. Mostly there's pain in me, you know.
There's a lot of pain in your heart,
in my heart.
for the way the system has failed you.
Me, yeah. So,
do you want help to get rid of that pain?
Yeah. That's why God is using Lawyer Francis to help me, for me to stand again.
And get rid of that pain.
Thank
Do you want to be free of that pain?
I want to be free of that pain.
Once you're free of that pain, would you want to have children? Would you want to have a family again, a wife, and a beautiful house? You have 200,000 Ghana cedis,
yes,
Francis.
sister, yeah. Thank you very much. I would like to do that. If God allow me, I'll do.
Our God is a merciful God. I'm sure He will allow you.
Thank you.
But I'm grateful you came through. So when are we getting the money for Francis? Because we need him to get rid of that pain. We need him to love again. We need him to take care of it. I've heard Francis wants his child to go back to school and all that.
Yeah.
When are we getting the money to do all those things?
Well, we are trusting God that the state is listening. I know many people have actually reacted on Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, like the money is too small, it's too small, it's too small. I think that, in fact, that should even be the reason why states should be even swift, you know, in paying this money, to further demonstrate our own commitment to this whole human rights struggle. You know, we all need to help Francis. I think that it wouldn't be out of place even for the state to say that, look, we're going to pay you that money, but we want to build a house for you as something, as a monument for human rights protection. We want to do something extra for you. It wouldn't be out of place for the state to, we want to sponsor some psychological training, some go through some counseling. We want to, sponsor some training for you so that you can come out of this pain, because you have a beautiful story to share as far as our human rights, if you like, stories in this country, is concerned. So we are looking forward to the Attorney General, in the next few days. Like we have 7 days out of which we would file our entry of judgment, serve them with certificate of judgment. We hope that once these things are done, it wouldn't take any longer before we will get this money. So we have some people who have pledged some support in terms of helping in the planning and all that, so they can actually help, Francis to pick up his life again and put his family together again.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you the last word.
Thank you.
You're the man in the center of this landmark judgment.
Yes, ma'am.
That's your camera. Yeah. I want you to look into it and address the president.
Yeah, so yeah, this one.
No, that one.
Yeah, this one. Okay, what I want to tell the president is that I know if Ghana will be better, it will come from prison. Because if Ghana is cool and the people are in prison, and when they came out without changing their lives, they are coming to disturb the nation. Because people are there, they are innocent. People are there because they don't have money to come out, they are there. And some are there, they are not criminals. And there's nothing, that place, we don't call the Reformation Center. I call there, because if you go there, you are going there to learn something which is not good. Because I've been there, I saw people who are there, when they came out, they're not criminals, but they came there to learn, and when they come out, they commit and come back. So I'm appealing to the president to go there, to put his eyes there, and then function there, so they can sell machines. Our tailoring shops, there's no machines there. Carpentry shop, there's no machines there. Blacksmith shop, there's no machines there. Sugarcane shop, there's no machines there. Draftsman shop, there's no machines there. So I want the government to establish this so that anything can be there, so that people will feel free. The feeling is very poor, so that the people also can get food. Because if you are there and you are feeling hungry, I don't think you can change. But when you eat and you go to church, you can be able to listen well.
Right.
So this is what I have.
I'm very sure Mr. President has heard this plea from Francis Ejari and his lawyer.
And the prison officers also, he should take care of them well. Because the prison officers are very important. Because I can see that President is focusing on the police too much and the prison officers. And the prison officers...
And so sometimes they rain their frustration on you?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so I want the President to put his eye and help the prison officers.
I see.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis.
Yes.
I'm positive that indeed Mr. President has heard this plea from Francis and his lawyer. We want that money quick.
Yeah, thank you.
Attorney General, please. You should do that quick. You realize there's a lot more to talk about as far as this case is concerned, but I'll take a quick break. When I come back, I'll read some of your messages on this and then we take on something else. I'm glad you stayed through the few minutes left on News Desk. I'll read some of your messages on Francis Ejari's case. And well, I'll start with Niman Chekote, who says that did this happen in Ghana? That's the question Nee is asking. Landmark indeed. Kudos to the judge. I believe there are still innocent people there who deserve justice. The lawyer and the judge, kudos. I'm sure lawyer Francis Xavier, who's just leaving my studio, has heard you. Nanaya Berima Labi says, justice must prevail. Injustice everywhere is affecting justice everywhere. Congratulations to him and his lawyers. Mandy Sampson says, only in Ghana, 14 years on remand. Thank God he is still alive. Agamol Gaspesi says, 14 years is too much. I will thank the Almighty God for his life. And Kala David says, the officers involved must cough out the money and not the taxpayers' money being used for this. Christopher Selonsa says, only God knows the number of innocent people in our prisons. Al-Hassan Basaru, on the other hand, says the wheel of justice grinds slowly, but it would surely reach its destination. Brother, make good use of the money and learn a lesson from that. Moke Anthony says, God works in mysterious ways, but the judge should be celebrated. Nuruddin says, those who were involved in that illegal remand should be punished severely. And Atta McMike says, this is not the only problem we have in our prisons. There are a lot of innocent identities in our various prisons. Sometimes our securities agencies fail to establish the real truth before they prosecute matters of concern. They rely on falsehood and bribery. Stone Child says, all such people in prison should take a cue. I'm sure they will. Meanwhile, Carl's Kwashi is asking 200,000 Ghana cedis for 14 terrible years in prison. And well, I don't know what to say to that. Kobinalto Jr. says it's too small. Brahim Adimi says yes, the law must be working. Many of his type must be dug up from prison and police cells. Meanwhile, Mahmoud Habib Jawula says selective justice at the highest level. What of the other people serving jail term without any legal justification? You take your case for justice, I'm sure you'd find it. So those are your messages that came through on Facebook. I'm totally grateful for those messages. But on a rather sad note, I leave on a rather sad note. The rescue team this morning, after 3 hours, rescued a student who was trapped in a wreckage after an accident on the N1 highway at Jawulu in Accra. And look at that. Terrible, terrible crash. The accident happened at around 4 a.m. Friday morning, and a DAF trailer had trapped him for more than 3 hours. But thankfully, he's alive. The DAF trailer carrying cement slammed into the rear of a Toyota Corolla after the silent car tried to overtake it. The trailer pushed it off the road, crashed into a metal railing on the N1 highway at Jawuli, and continued its impact until a street lamp brought the wreckage to a stop. 2 others were also rescued and sent to a hospital. The free student was not severely injured physically, apart from a few, he was not injured physically, apart from a few bruises on his hands and legs, and that student must be very thankful at the moment. He told rescue officers he was feeling pain in his waist area as he was being taken away in an ambulance. Right, you saw that. Thank you very much for staying through the my name is Kemini Yamani Amano. It's been fantastic coming your way. I'll see you again on News Today at midday. Stay on for the rest of our programs. Goodbye.